You never imagined your own mother would weaponize Christmas against you. The house smells like roasted turkey, wine, and betrayal. Laughter swirls through the air until her voice slices through it like glass. "Here's my toast," your mother says, raising her crystal glass high. "To Diane, my pride and joy, and to you, our family disappointment." The room freezes. You're still standing at the doorway, holding the homemade apple pie you baked at 5 a.m., your hands trembling so hard the dish almost slips. Every face turns toward you, your aunts with their forced smiles, your cousins whispering into their drinks, your father pretending not to notice. And your mother? She's glowing, basking in the laughter she just bought at your expense. 35 years old, she says, swirling her wine. Still single, no kids, and working in a bakery. Bless her heart. The laughter feels like nails against glass. Your throat tightens, but you force a smile, the same one you've practiced for years, polite, restrained, survival disguised as grace. "Merry Christmas," you say quietly. No one answers. Even your sister, Diane, the family's golden girl, just looks down, adjusting her pearl bracelet like she's tuning out the scene. You can't blame her. She's been the sainted one all her life. Dentist husband, perfect children, spotless suburban home. She doesn't have to fight for approval. She's already framed on the mantle. You aren't. You're just the photo your mother hides behind another one. Dinner is a battlefield wrapped in silver tinsel. Your mother tells stories that start sweet and end cruel. Remember when you tried to learn piano? Bless her, she had no rhythm. Or that time you got dumped right before Valentine's. Poor thing never had any luck. Each tale earns a polite laugh from her audience. Each one feels like another small death. And you sit there, smiling, pretending the food doesn't taste like ashes. It's always been this way every holiday, every milestone. The same script, the same humiliation. You remember your 30th birthday, she gave you a book called Cooking for One. You remember Thanksgiving 2 years ago, she asked across the table. "So, have you decided which shelter you'll get your cats from?" You don't even like cats. You used to argue back. You used to defend yourself. But she always won, twisting your words until you sounded bitter, petty, and ungrateful. So you stopped fighting. You built walls instead. You built a bakery. The Rising Sunday. Your mother calls it that little bread shop. But it's more than that. It's the place you built from scratch when everyone, especially her, said you couldn't. You took out a loan, risked everything, and turned your fear into flour. Every morning at 4:30, you open those doors. You knead the dough with your bare hands. You breathe warmth into the cold, and you watch light spill over fresh loaves. You built something real, something she never cared to see. But this year, it's going to change. Because tonight, you didn't come alone. You've been keeping a secret, a man who saw you not as a disappointment, but as a masterpiece still rising, Ethan. You met him 8 months ago at the bakery when he asked if you could make a loaf like his grandmother's. He smiled like sunlight through a fog, stayed for coffee, came back the next day and the next. He's gentle, brilliant, and the kind of man your mother insists doesn't exist for girls like you. He flew in from Seattle last night. He wanted to meet your family. You told him to come an hour late to give you time to test the water. But the water's boiling now, and you're done being burned. Your mother's laughter echoes down the hallway. "I just don't know where I went wrong with her," she says, refilling her wine. "She was such a bright little girl. Maybe I spoiled her." "You didn't," you say suddenly. Your voice cuts through the room like a blade. Every head turns. She blinks. "Excuse me?" You set your fork down. "You didn't spoil me. You broke me. But it's okay. I fixed myself." And the silence that follows could break glass. Someone coughs. Your Aunt Patricia whispers your name, but you keep going. You've spent years making sure everyone knows how disappointed you are in me, but you never once asked if I'm happy. "Because you're not," she snaps. "You think baking bread is a life?" "Yes," you say, calm and firm. "A life I built without your help." Her smile falters, just slightly, the first crack in the porcelain mask. Your phone buzzes. One message. Outside, ready. You glance at your mother. "There's someone I want you to meet." She arches an eyebrow. "Oh? You finally found someone willing to put up with you?" You don't answer. You stand, walk to the door, and open it. Cold December air rushes in. And there he is. Ethan, tall, confident, his dark coat dusted with snowflakes, holding a bottle of wine and wearing the kind of smile that silences storms. "Hey," he says softly, "just for you. You okay?" You nod. "Now I am." You take his hand and lead him inside. Every eye follows as you step back into the room this time, not as the family's failure, but as the calm before their reckoning. "Everyone," you say, your voice clear and steady. "I'd like you to meet someone." Your mother straightens, assessing him with her well-trained sneer. "And who might this be?" He smiles that slow, devastating smile that makes people listen. "I'm Ethan. It's wonderful to finally meet Charlene's family." Your mother tilts her head. "And what do you do, Ethan?" He meets her gaze. "I build things. From the ground up. The same way you did. The same way she never could." The room stills. The lights flicker. And for the first time in your life, she doesn't have a comeback. You tell yourself you're fine, that you've handled worse. But the truth? Every word your mother said at that dinner table clings to you like smoke. It seeps into your clothes, your hair, your skin. You can still hear the laughter, sharp and brittle, echoing long after the dishes were cleared. That night, you lie awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment she's humiliated you. Every sneer disguised as advice, every compliment poisoned with comparison. And you realize this has always been her way of loving you. A love that hurts. A love that breaks. A love that kills slowly. You remember being 7 years old, standing on stage at your first dance recital. Your leotard was too big, your hair slightly crooked, but you danced your heart out. When the applause came, you looked to her for approval. She didn't clap. Later in the car, she said, "If you'd practiced harder, maybe you wouldn't have looked so clumsy." You were 7, and that was the first time you learned that trying wasn't enough. You remember middle school when you brought home a report card full of A's except 1 B in science. She didn't say good job. She said, "So Diane gets straight A's and you get this?" Every success was measured against your sister's shadow. Every mistake was magnified into proof that you'd never measure up. You stopped chasing praise and started chasing invisibility. Your 20s were supposed to be different. Freedom, friends, late-night pizza, laughter. But instead, you worked double shifts, saved every dollar, trying to prove something to a woman who didn't believe in proof. While Diane was posting pictures of baby showers and mortgage approvals, you were in a tiny apartment, rolling dough on a thrift store counter, dreaming about bread that tasted like hope. The bakery started as survival, but became your salvation. The scent of yeast and butter replaced your need for validation. You found comfort in kneading dough, in watching it rise after being beaten down. It became your metaphor, you rising after being punched and folded 100 times. Still, every time your phone buzzed with her name, your stomach turned, because you knew no call meant, "How are you?" Only, "Why aren't you more like your sister?" You'd smile through it, always. Because that's what good daughters do, they die quietly while pretending to live loudly. When Ethan appeared in your bakery that rainy Thursday morning, you didn't know he'd be the crack of light in your dark routine. He walked in wearing a navy coat, rain dripping from his hair, and asked softly, "Do you have any sourdough that tastes like San Francisco?" You didn't, but you said, "Giving me 2 days." He smiled. "Deal." You didn't expect him to come back, but he did. And when he tasted that loaf, he closed his eyes like it wasn't just bread, it was memory. "This," he whispered, "this is home." He came back again the next day, then the day after. You learned that he loved quiet mornings and jazz, that he traveled too much and trusted too little, that he liked how you said "fresh batch" with pride. He learned that your mother thought you were a failure, and that you believed her sometimes. He didn't flinch. He just said, "Maybe you need new mirrors." That sentence cracked something open in you. But love, no matter how gentle, can't silence the voices that raised you. So when he first mentioned meeting your family, you froze. "Christmas," he said, smiling. "Perfect time to meet everyone." You laughed too quickly. "Perfect? You don't know my family." "I want to," he said. "All of it, even the hard parts." You almost said no. You almost told him the truth that your mother eats love for breakfast and spits out bones. But he looked at you like you were worth fighting for, and you wanted to believe that maybe this time, the story could end differently. You spent days rehearsing how to introduce him. You even imagined the scene, your mother smiling, your family proud, your heart finally resting. But that was the fantasy. The reality was that moment at the dinner table, her glass raised, her voice cutting through laughter like a blade. "To my golden daughter, and to my disappointment, that was your real Christmas gift. You wake up the next morning with swollen eyes and a storm inside you. You want to scream, cry, throw every memory of her out into the snow. But instead, you do what you've always done. You get up, wash your face, and go to work. The bakery greets you with warmth, ovens glowing, dough waiting, silence that listens. Your assistant, Clara, greets you with a smile. Rough night? You just nod. Family. She doesn't ask more. She doesn't have to. You work mechanically, shaping loaves, brushing butter, dusting flour. Every motion steadies you. Because unlike your mother, bread never lies. It only gives back what you put in. But even as you work, your mind replays the night, the pitying eyes, your mother's smirk, your father's silence, the way Diane looked away, the way no one said, stop, and worst of all, the way part of you still wanted your mother to love you after everything. By evening, Ethan calls. His voice is warm, grounding. How are you? I survived, you say with a shaky laugh. He pauses. That bad? Worse. I am. Then maybe it's time she meets the version of you who doesn't need her approval anymore. You close your eyes, tears threatening. You make it sound easy. He laughs softly. It's not. But you've been surviving her your whole life. Maybe it's time to stop surviving and start living. His words hit deeper than he knows. That night, you stare at your reflection in the dark bakery window. The neon sign Rising Sun flickers above your head, orange and gold. You whisper, maybe it's time to rise for real. Tomorrow, you'll face her again. Tomorrow, Ethan will walk into that house. Tomorrow, you'll either break or become unbreakable. And deep down, you already know which it'll be. The door closes behind him, and for a heartbeat, the house stops breathing. Ethan's presence shifts the air, calm, grounded, utterly certain in the way people who've built their own empires tend to be. Snow melts off his coat and onto your mother's polished floor. She stares at him the way she stares at anything. She can't immediately categorize, like a new species she'd rather label before understanding. He smiles. Merry Christmas. She doesn't answer. And you are? Ethan. He extends his hand. Charlene's partner. Her lips tighten. Partner? The word drips disdain as if it's code for temporary. She shakes his hand with fingertips only, then wipes them on her napkin. So, how did the two of you meet? At her bakery, he says easily. Best bread in Milwaukee. Her eyebrows lift. Oh, that bakery. He nods. Yes, the one she owns. The word owns lands like a brick in the middle of the dining room. You feel everyone's eyes flick toward you, disbelief, confusion, silent recalculations. Your aunt stops mid-sip. Your sister glances up from her phone, startled. Your mother laughs, brittle. Well, isn't that cute? You make it sound so important. It is, Ethan says mildly. She built it from the ground up. 12 employees, 2 expansions in 5 years. That's impressive in any city. Your mother blinks. Twice. Her jaw tightens in a smile that could cut glass. Oh, I see. A small business owner. How lovely. Her voice is sugar-laced with venom. You sit down beside Ethan, feeling the heat crawl up your neck. You know this tone. It's the prelude to the storm, the phase where she still pretends civility while she reloads every weapon she has. Well, she says brightly to the table, we've all been worried about our dear Charlene. So it's wonderful to see she's finally branching out. The word finally lands like a slap. You breathe. Don't let her pull you in. Ethan's hand brushes yours under the table, a quiet signal. I see you. You're not alone. Your mother's eyes narrow slightly, noticing the gesture. And what do you do, Ethan? I work in technology, he says. Technology, she repeats as though he'd confessed to stealing wallets. So, computers? He smiles. In a way. I founded a company 12 years ago. We build healthcare software. Hospitals use our system nationwide. There's a sharp inhale from Uncle George. Wait, which company? Ethan tells him. The name drops like a bomb. George straightens. You're kidding. We use your software at my hospital. You've saved us millions in admin costs. You're that Ethan Hartman? Your mother's wine glass tilts slightly. The color drains from her face. Ethan nods modestly. That's me. Now the silence isn't awkward. It's electric. The family that pitied you 5 minutes ago is suddenly recalculating every assumption. Even Diane's fingers freeze mid-scroll as she types his name into Google under the table. And then comes the whisper. "He's worth hundreds of millions," Diane says softly but loud enough for everyone to hear. The sentence ripples through the room like thunder under glass. Your mother's smile falters completely. For the first time in your life, you see something almost human in her eyes panic. "Well," she stammers, "that's impressive." Ethan's tone stays calm. "Charlene told me this family meant a lot to her. I wanted to meet the people who raised such a remarkable woman." Your mother tries to recover. "We did our best," she says quickly. Of course, she's always been independent. "Independent is good," Ethan replies, eyes steady. "That's how people change the world. And that's when you feel it a pulse deep inside you, something hot and new, vindication. For the first time in your life, you watch your mother lose her script. She opens her mouth to speak, closes it, then forces another laugh that sounds like a broken ornament hitting tile. "Well," she says, reaching for her glass, "maybe I've been too hard on you, dear." You tilt your head. "Maybe? I just want what's best for you." "No," you say, softly but clear enough for everyone to hear. "You want what looks best for you." The room stills. Ethan's thumb traces a calm line over your wrist, steadying you, but you no longer need it. You're steady on your own. You turn to the rest of the room, your aunts, your cousins, the people who've watched her tear you down for years without ever stepping in. "You all think this is new," you say, "but it's not. Every Christmas, every birthday, every dinner she's made. Sure, I remember my place. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight I brought someone not to show off, but to show her that I'm done being her joke." Your mother rises, voice trembling between fury and fear. "How dare you embarrass me in front of everyone?" You stand too. "You've been embarrassing me my whole life." Ethan rises beside you, taller, quiet, unshakable. "Mrs. Anderson," he says politely, "you may not realize it, but you've been cruel. She deserves better than this. And she's not the disappointment here." Your mother glares at him, then at you, cheeks flushed red. "Get out of my house." You look around the table. No one moves. No one supports her. Not even your father. You smile. Gladly. You take Ethan's hand and walk toward the door. But before you step outside, you turn back one last time. "She built something beautiful out of everything you tried to destroy," Ethan says to the stunned room. "You should be proud. But I suppose pride requires love." Then you leave. Outside, the night bites cold, but the air tastes clean like freedom. Snow crunches under your boots. Ethan opens the car door, and you glance back once through the window. Inside, your mother's perfect Christmas looks suddenly hollow, the lights too bright, the laughter gone, the truth echoing louder than carols. You're shaking, but it isn't fear. It's the vibration of a chain snapping after a lifetime of tension. "Are you okay?" Ethan asks. You breathe out, steam curling in the cold. "No," you say. Then you smile. "I'm better." The next morning, your phone buzzes before dawn. It's your mother. "Charlene," she says, her voice honeyed with control. "About last night. I think you owe me an apology." You stare at the screen, dumbfounded. The audacity, the effortless way she turns herself into the victim. You hang up without replying. Then, you turn on the lights in your bakery. The smell of warm bread fills the air, grounding you back in the one place that never lies. Here, yeast rises, ovens hum, and effort always pays off. The sun hasn't even climbed yet, but you already know this day will be different. Because last night wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. The moment Ethan stepped into that living room, the ground shifted beneath your mother's perfect world. You saw it the way her confidence cracked like porcelain. You saw her eyes dart from his tailored suit to the shocked faces around the table, calculating, adjusting, rewriting the script mid-scene. She tried to recover, of course. She always does. "We've always cared about Charlene," she told the room with a trembling laugh. "She's just private, that's all." But Ethan wasn't fooled. "Actually," he said, calm and precise, "she's been surviving your criticism for years. That's not privacy, that's protection." Her face flushed crimson. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "I have every idea," he replied. "You just don't like being seen." The silence that followed was sharper than any insult. Your sister Diane looked up from her phone, then her perfect facade slipping. "Mom," she whispered, "maybe stop." Your mother turned to her with a glare that could freeze fire. "Don't you dare take her side." And there it was again, that word, side. As if love was a competition. and you were still losing. But this time, you didn't back down. There are no sides, you said. Just truth. And you can't stand it. She gasped, scandalized. How dare you speak to me like that? The same way you've spoken to me my whole life, you said, voice shaking but strong. Except I'm not whispering anymore. You remember how she tried to pivot, changing her tone from ice to fake concern. Sweetheart, you're overreacting. You know I only tease because I care. Tease. The word nearly made you laugh. All those public humiliations, the cookbooks for one, the "no man will marry a baker," the whispered "we don't talk about her choices at weddings," all filed under teasing. Ethan watched quietly, his gaze steady on you. No pity, no rescue, just quiet faith that you'd find your voice. Mom, you said slowly, you've called me a disappointment every year of my life, but the only disappointing thing here is how small your love has become. Her smile snapped. Don't talk to me about love. I sacrificed everything for you. No, you said. You controlled everything for me. For the first time in your life, she didn't have a comeback. Her lips trembled, and the room seemed to lean in, the entire family witnessing something they'd never seen your mother losing. When Ethan placed his hand gently on your shoulder, you didn't flinch. You stood taller. I think we're done here, you said softly. Don't walk away from me, she shouted, her voice cracking. You met her eyes not with anger, but clarity. I'm not walking away, Mom. I'm just walking out. That night, in Ethan's car, silence wrapped around you like a heavy blanket. You stared at the city lights flickering against the snowy streets. You okay? He asked. You shook your head. I don't even know what I am. He reached over, tracing your fingers with his thumb. Free, maybe? Free. The word scared you. Because freedom meant you couldn't blame her anymore. Freedom meant you had to decide who you were without her voice echoing in your head. By morning, her message came again long, manipulative, drenched in guilt. I was only joking. You're too sensitive. You've embarrassed the family. Ethan turned you against me. You laughed bitterly. The same tactics, the same recycled script. You opened a blank message, typed one word, enough, then deleted it. She didn't deserve your breath, not even in pixels. Instead, you picked up your apron, dusted your hands with flour, and began kneading. Each fold, each press, felt like reclaiming a piece of yourself. The dough resisted at first, stiff and stubborn just like you've been all these years, but under the warmth of your palms it softened. And you realized something simple yet profound. You couldn't fix her, but you could fix yourself. Later that day, as snow fell outside your bakery window, Ethan appeared again, this time without warning. He brought you coffee and stood quietly, watching you work. You look different, he said finally. You smiled faintly. Maybe I am. Strong, he said. Peaceful. You paused, hands deep in flour. I don't feel peaceful. I feel raw. That's what peace looks like at first, he said. It's just pain that's finally allowed to breathe. You stared at him, and the truth of it broke something open inside you. That night, you wrote a list in your notebook. Things you'd stop carrying. Her disappointment. Her shame. Her voice. You drew a line through each word like striking names off a debt. You looked out the window and whispered to yourself, "This ends with me." You didn't know then that your mother wasn't done, that she was already plotting her next move, spinning her story for the extended family, painting you as the ungrateful daughter corrupted by money. But the woman you were becoming, the woman rising from the ashes, wouldn't be easy to destroy. Because for the first time in your life, you weren't afraid of losing her. You were afraid of losing yourself again. And you'd never let that happen. You thought silence would end it, that walking away would finally close the door. But your mother doesn't let doors close. She kicks them open. The first whispers reach you a week later, a cousin messaging you on Facebook. Hey, I heard some things. Are you okay? Did Ethan really cut you off from the family? Cut you off? You freeze, reading the words again. Then another message comes from Aunt Patricia. Your mother's worried. She says Ethan's controlling, that he's dangerous. You almost laugh, but the sound catches in your throat. It's so absurd, so perfectly her. When she can't control the story, she rewrites it. And this time, the villain isn't you. It's Ethan. She's painting him as the manipulator, the rich outsider who brainwashed her poor daughter. She's calling relatives, crying into the phone, telling them she's lost you to a man who only loves her money. She's rehearsed this story 1,000 times in her head, and now she's performing it to a willing audience. You realize what she's doing. She's trying to destroy the one good thing you have left. You're in the bakery when Diane shows up, cheeks flushed from the cold. She doesn't look like the sister you grew up competing with. Her hair's messy, her eyes are tired, and there's guilt written across her face. "You need to know something," she says. "Mom's calling everyone. She's planning something big." You frown. "What kind of something?" "She's calling it an intervention. She's telling the family that Ethan's isolating you, and she needs their help to bring you back." You laugh short, sharp, disbelieving. "An intervention? For what? Happiness?" Diane doesn't smile. "She's serious, Char. She's got Uncle George, Aunt Patricia, even Dad. Everyone's coming Sunday." You feel your heart drop. The room tilts. "She's doing this in front of everyone?" Diane nods, eyes glistening. "I'm sorry. I tried to talk her out of it. She won't listen." That night you tell Ethan everything. He listens in silence, pacing the apartment, jaw tight. When you finish, he exhales slowly. "Then we go," he says. "To the intervention?" you ask, stunned. "Yes, we go. Together. We end this. Ethan, she'll twist everything. Then we bring the truth. All of it." Oh. You stare at him, this man who met you through sourdough, and somehow became your anchor. You see no fear in him, only quiet conviction. "I've seen people like her," he says softly. "They thrive in shadows. You don't destroy shadows by fighting them. You destroy them by turning on the light. So you prepare, not with anger, but with precision. You gather every receipt, every bank statement from the bakery, proof of your success, your independence. You print out the newspaper article that featured Rising Sun Bakery last spring, the woman who built hope out of dough. You scroll through your phone photos of awards, community fundraisers, smiling customers. And then, finally, you open the folder you've never shown anyone. Voice recordings, 3 years' worth of conversations with your mother. Every insult, every manipulation, every "I'm just saying this because I care." You'd recorded them not for revenge, but because you once thought you might need proof that you weren't crazy. Now, you finally do. Sunday comes. The air is thick and gray, the kind of winter morning where even the sky looks tired. The driveway is full, 10 cars lined up like soldiers. You can see shadows moving behind the curtains. "Ready?" Ethan asks. You nod. More than ever. You open the door and step inside. The living room looks like a courtroom. Your family seated in a half circle. Your mother at the center, the judge, jury, and self-proclaimed savior. "Charlene," she exclaims, her voice syrupy. "Thank God you came. We were all so worried." You force a smile. "I'm sure you were." She gestures to the sofa. "Please sit. We're doing this because we love you." Ethan's hand brushes yours. "We'll stand, thanks." And your mother clears her throat theatrically. "Everyone here knows how much I love my daughters. But lately Charlene has changed. She's become secretive, distant, and independent." You interrupt. She falters. "Well, if you want to call it that, I do," you say, "and I have proof." Her smile freezes. "Proof?" You pull your phone from your pocket, connect it to the small speaker you brought, and press play. Your mother's own voice fills the room. "You're 35 and still single. You're an embarrassment. If you sold that bakery, maybe you'd find someone willing to marry you. You think anyone's proud of you? You're a joke." The silence that follows is heavier than stone. Aunt Patricia covers her mouth. Uncle George shifts uncomfortably. Diane stares at the floor, tears forming. "Stop it," your mother snaps. "Stop playing that." "Why?" you ask calmly. "It's just you being honest, right?" "That's out of context." "Really?" you say. "Because that's the story of my life. You hurting me, then calling it love." Ethan steps forward, his voice quiet but razor sharp. "Mrs. Anderson, you've spent years tearing her down, and the only reason she's here today is to make sure you can't do it anymore." Your mother's face twists with rage. "You think you know her? You don't. She's weak." "No," Ethan interrupts. "She's stronger than you'll ever be." Her hand shakes. "Get out, both of you." You meet her eyes one last time. "Gladly." But before you leave, you turn to the room, your uncles, cousins, even Diane. "This isn't about money or love. It's about control. And I'm done letting her own my story." You grab Ethan's hand and walk toward the door. Behind you, the room is silent except for your mother's uneven breathing, a queen watching her crown crumble. Outside, the air bites your cheeks. You close your eyes, feeling the cold sting, and then relief. Ethan squeezes your hand. You okay? You exhale, the fog of your breath rising like smoke from a fire finally out. No, you whisper. I'm free. You think it's over. You think that walking out of that house, leaving the echoes of her screaming behind, means peace will finally settle in. But peace doesn't come easy when the person you're fighting built their life around controlling you. 2 days later, your phone explodes with messages. Your mother's version of the story is spreading faster than truth ever could. Charlene played those recordings out of context. Ethan humiliated her in front of the family. They ganged up on me. They twisted everything. And the worst one, I'm worried for her. He's isolating her. And you can almost hear her voice in every text. The practiced tremble, the quiver of fake concern. She's lost control, but she's not giving up without one last war. At first, you ignore it. You go to work, bake bread, keep your head down, but the calls keep coming. Cousins, aunts, even your father. Each one carrying a piece of her new script. She just wants to talk. She says she loves you. Ugh. Why are you doing this to her? You want to scream. What about what she did to me? But you've learned that screaming only gives her more air. So you stay quiet. You wait. And then one evening, Diane calls. Her voice is shaky. Charlene, she's planning something worse. You close your eyes. Of course she is. What this time? She's organizing another family meeting, Diane whispers. But she's calling it an intervention. She's saying Ethan's abusing you emotionally. She wants everyone to come over to save you. You laugh. It's a raw, hollow sound. She's turning herself into the hero again. I tried to stop her, Diane says, voice breaking. But she won't listen. She's obsessed. You need to know she's inviting everyone. Sunday, she wants to expose Ethan. Expose. The irony burns. You hang up. And for the first time in your life, you don't feel fear. You feel purpose. That night, you pull out your folder again, the one with the documents, photos, and recordings. But this time, you open a new section. Final proof. You gather everything. The voice clips from every year she belittled you. The texts where she mocked your bakery's grand opening. The messages she sent Diane, gossiping about your failure. And then, you sit in front of your laptop and type. To everyone attending Mom's intervention, I'll be there. And this time, I'm bringing the truth. You hit send. For the first time ever, you are the one controlling the narrative. Sunday arrives. You and Ethan pull up to that same house, the house where you were small for so long, and park beside a dozen cars. Ready? Ethan asks. You nod. More than ready. You walk through the snow, boots crunching, heart calm. There's no shaking this time. You've already faced the worst. Now you're here for justice. The door opens before you even knock. Your mother stands there polished, smiling, rehearsed. Charlene. She breathes dramatically. Thank goodness you're here. We're all so worried. You step inside. The living room is full aunts, uncles, cousins, your father, Diane. Every face turns toward you. Your mother spreads her arms like a saint. Everyone, let's talk to Charlene calmly. We just want to help her see reason. You tilt your head. Reason? She nods. Ethan has changed you. You've become cruel, secretive. That's not who you are. We just want you back. You almost pity her. Almost. Because this isn't concern, it's theater. And you've learned how to end a performance. You're right, you say softly. This isn't who I used to be. Because who I used to be let you get away with everything. Her smile wavers. Sweetheart, please. No. Let's talk about who you are instead. You pull out your phone, open the voice recordings, and place it on the coffee table. Let's hear from you, Mom. Her eyes widen. Charlene, don't you dare. You hit play. Her own voice fills the room again. You'll never be anything. Your bakery's a joke. You embarrass me. One after another, the words fall like knives. The room goes silent except for her voice echoing through the speakers. Your father looks away. Diane starts crying quietly. Aunt Patricia shakes her head, muttering, My God. Stop this, your mother shrieks. You're humiliating me. You look straight at her. No, Mom. You did that all by yourself. That's out of context, she yells. Really? Then let's give it context. You open a folder and slide photos across the table, pictures of you at age 10, performing at your school play while she sat on her phone, screenshots of texts where she called you pathetic, a newspaper clipping of your bakery's award that she never congratulated you for. Ethan speaks up, his voice calm but lethal. Mrs. Anderson, I've met powerful people in my life. None of them made cruelty sound like love the way you do. Her face twists. You don't understand, family. End of free. No, Ethan says softly. You don't. For a long moment, no one moves. Then, slowly, Diane stands. Mom, she says through tears. She's right. You've been awful to her. We all let it happen. But it ends now. Your mother stares at her as if she's just been betrayed by her favorite weapon. You ungrateful child. Enough, your father says suddenly. His voice cracks, but it's firm. Margaret, stop. She spins toward him, eyes wild. Not you too. Yes, me too, he says. I'm tired of pretending. You've been cruel and I've stayed silent. But not anymore. Her breath stutters. You're all against me. No, you say. We're just done being afraid of you. She looks around searching for someone, anyone, to side with her. But no one does. And that's when you see at the exact moment her power dissolves. Her shoulders drop. Her face goes pale. The queen finally realizing her throne was made of sand. Get out, she whispers. All of you, just go. You take Ethan's hand, but before you turn to leave, you look back one last time. You wanted an audience, Mom, you say quietly. Now they've seen the real show. And then you walk out. Outside, the air bites like truth, cold but cleansing. Ethan wraps his coat around your shoulders. You did it, he murmurs. You look up at the sky, the snow falling in soft white sheets, and for the first time in your life, you don't feel small. No, you whisper. We did it. Behind you, the house glows warm and hollow, filled with the ghosts she created. Ahead of you, the world is wide open, a blank page waiting for a story that finally belongs to you. You think it's over. You really do. For a week, the world feels quiet. The texts stop. The phone doesn't buzz. For the first time in years, you sleep without your jaw clenched, without rehearsing the next argument in your dreams. You start to believe this is what peace feels like, the silence after a storm. But you should have known better. Because narcissists don't surrender. They regroup. It starts with Diane's call. Charlene, she's sick. You freeze. What do you mean sick? Mom's saying she's having heart issues. She's telling everyone you stressed her into it. You close your eyes. There it is, the next weapon. Pity. She's lying, you whisper, more to yourself than to Diane. I don't know, Diane says softly. She's in the hospital. People are talking. They're saying you should visit her. Visit her? You repeat. After what she's done? Please, Diane begs. If she dies and you don't go, they'll never forgive you. None of them will. Forgive you not for the years she humiliated you, but for the moment you finally stood up for yourself. You laugh bitterly. Of course. I'm still the villain in her story. I'm not saying she deserves it, Diane whispers. I'm saying you do. Closure, maybe? You hate that she might be right. That night, you stare at your bakery's closed sign glowing red in the dark window. You've built something solid, a life, a business, a love, but deep down, the child in you still aches for something ridiculous. Her approval. The idea of her dying without ever saying I'm sorry burns like a slow fuse. Ethan finds you sitting alone on the counter, head in your hands. She's in the hospital, you say quietly. He studies your face. You don't have to go. I know. But you're going to, he says. You look up. How did you know? He gives a sad smile. Because I've met that little girl in you. The one who still wants her mom to look at her and finally see her. You swallow hard. I just need to hear it once. That she knows what she did. The hospital smells like bleach and memories you never asked for. She's lying there, pale, fragile, but her eyes are still sharp like shards of glass hidden under silk sheets. Charlene, she croaks, her voice weak but still performing. You came. End 4. You stand at the foot of the bed. Diane said you weren't well. She sighs dramatically. Stress. Caused by betrayal. You flinch. You're unbelievable. I'm your mother, she says, her voice suddenly stronger. And you humiliated me in front of everyone. Your heart drops. Even now, even here. She's not sick, she's staging. You're really doing this here? You whisper. In a hospital bed? You ruined my reputation, she says. You and that man of yours. That man of mine saved me. Her eyes narrow. He's using you. You laugh not bitterly, just tired. You said the same thing about my bakery, my friends, my dreams. If I listened to you, I'd still be the woman who begged for scraps of your approval. So you won't even say sorry? She hisses. Sorry? You echo. For surviving you? For a long time, neither of you speak. Then she looks away, her voice trembling just enough to sound human. You think you're happy now, don't you? I am happy. No, she says softly. You're pretending. People like us don't get happy endings. And that's when you realize she's not angry anymore. She's terrified. Because your happiness means her story doesn't control you anymore. It means her crown has turned to dust. Goodbye, Mom, you whisper. Charlene, she says quickly, panic flaring in her voice. Wait, but you've already turned. You leave the room. You leave her voice behind. Outside, snow falls in soft, silent sheets. You sit in your car, tears streaming down your face, not from pain, but release. Ethan's voice comes through the phone. Did you get what you needed? You think for a long moment. No. Then why do you sound relieved? Because I stopped needing it. Days later, the news spreads. Your mother checked herself out of the hospital. No heart attack. No condition. Just stress. Diane texts. She's furious you didn't play along. You reply. Then I finally did something right. Weeks pass. The bakery thrives. Customers line up before sunrise. You and Ethan spend your evenings laughing in the warmth of the ovens, your hands dusted with flour and peace. Then one morning, the doorbell rings. You open it and find Diane standing there with a box. She told me to give you this, she says quietly. Inside the box, a stack of old photo albums, and on top a note, for Charlene. Maybe I didn't say it enough. Maybe I didn't know how. Love, Mom. You sit in silence for a long time. The words are small, simple, too late, but they're there. You flip through the photos, birthdays, recitals, holidays. In every picture, she's smiling, but never at you. Still, somewhere between the frames, you see yourself changing from a girl desperate for her mother's gaze to a woman who no longer needs it. That night, you light a single candle, pour yourself a glass of wine, and whisper to the air, I forgive you. Not for her, but for you. Because you finally understand. Forgiveness isn't surrender. It's freedom. Ethan walks in, wiping flour from his hands. You okay? You nod. For the first time in my life. He smiles. You're glowing. You laugh softly. No, I'm just finally done. He wraps his arms around you, and the world feels small and safe and real. Outside, snow falls quietly, but inside, your heart is warm. The war is over. The crown has fallen. And you've risen higher than she ever believed you could. It's strange how quiet freedom sounds. No more midnight calls, no accusations echoing in your head, just the low hum of ovens, the rustle of paper bags, and the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat. For the first time in your adult life, you wake up, and the world doesn't feel like an apology. You step into the bakery, sunlight spilling through the glass, dust motes dancing above trays of croissants. The sign above the door, Rising Sun Bakery, glows faintly gold. It feels prophetic now. You didn't just build a business, you built a resurrection. Your phone buzzes. It's Ethan. Big news day, his text reads. You ready? You smile. You know exactly what he means. Today, Rising Sun is featured in a national magazine. From family rejection to empire, the baker who turned pain into power. The reporter's words echo in your mind. She didn't just bake bread. She built herself a second life, one layer at a time. You scroll through the online article, your photo in the kitchen, hair messy, apron dusted with flour, eyes alive. The headline feels too big for you, but somehow, it fits. The comments flood in. She's incredible. This story gave me chills. To every woman who's been told she's not enough, this one's for you. You read each one, feeling something expand inside your chest. Not pride, exactly. More like peace that finally found its way home. When Ethan walks in later that morning, carrying 2 coffees, he grins. You're trending, Miss Rising Sunday. You laugh. Don't start. I mean it. This isn't just success. It's justice. He sets the cup on the counter. looks at you with that quiet admiration that still makes your heart tremble. You didn't destroy her, he says softly. You outgrew her. You look down, suddenly emotional. I didn't want revenge anymore. I just wanted to stop bleeding. You did both, he whispers. Weeks pass. The bakery gets busier, more orders, more interviews, more noise. But the noise feels different now. It's life, not chaos. One afternoon, Diane walks in. She hasn't been here since that day at the house. She looks nervous, holding a small envelope. Hey, she says. Hey, you reply, cautious but not cold. She sets the envelope on the counter. From Mom. You hesitate before opening it. Inside a check, $25,000, and a note written in her careful cursive. For the business you built. I can't undo what I said, but maybe I can help with what comes next. You don't cry. You just sit quietly for a long moment, staring at the ink. She asked me to deliver it, Diane says. She didn't want to call. She said she's afraid you'll hang up. You look up. She's right. She's different now, Diane says softly. Not perfect, but smaller. Like the fight's gone. You nod. Maybe that's a start. She told me to tell you she's proud. You close the envelope. Then maybe I'll start believing her when she says it to my face. That night, you and Ethan close the bakery early. You walk along the frozen lake, the city lights flickering like distant candles. You ever think you'd get here? He asks. You shake your head. I used to think happiness was something that happened after pain. Now I know they can exist together. He smiles. Like sweet and sour. Like dough and fire, you say, grinning. He laughs, pulling you close. You always have the last word. Not always, you say. Sometimes I just choose the right one. He kisses your forehead, and for the first time, you believe you deserve this. The love, the calm, the safety. The next morning, you find a letter slipped under the bakery door. No name, just your initials. You recognize the handwriting instantly. Charlene, I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope you never have to understand me to forgive me. I was cruel because I was afraid. You remind me of everything I never became. I see that now. I see you now. Mom, you fold the letter, place it in the back of your recipe journal not to forget, but to remember how far you've come. Then you roll up your sleeves and start baking. Hours later, the smell of cinnamon and sugar fills the shop. A small girl at the counter presses her face against the glass, eyes wide. Did you make all these? She asks. You smile. Every one of them. Her mother laughs softly. She wants to be a baker, too. You crouch down, meeting the child's bright eyes. Then start now. The secret isn't in the recipe. It's in not giving up when everyone says you should. Oh. The little girl nods solemnly, like she just learned something sacred. And in that moment, you realize you've broken the cycle. Later that evening, the sun dips low over the city, staining the sky gold and rose. Ethan locks the door and flips the sign to closed. You stand together in the warm orange light, the scent of baked bread wrapping around you like memory and healing. You ever think of writing your story? He asks. You smile. Maybe, but I think I already did in every loaf that came out right after being punched down. He laughs. That's poetic. It's truth. You walk to the window, watching people pass by, families, couples, strangers carrying coffee cups with your logo on them. For years, you thought legacy was something people gave you. Now you understand it's something you build. You whisper to yourself, I'm not her disappointment anymore. I'm my own miracle. And for once, even your reflection agrees. You think peace is permanent once you've earned it. But healing isn't a straight line, it's a circle. Sometimes it brings the past right back to your doorstep to see if you've really changed. It's a quiet Thursday morning when the phone rings. You almost don't answer, but something in your chest tells you to. It's Diane. She wants to see you, she says. You pose. Mom? Yeah. She's different, Char. Not the same woman you remember. She's been going to therapy. She's trying. You stare at the bag of flour in your hands, the powder clinging to your fingers like ghosts that refuse to leave. I don't know if I can, you whisper. You don't have to, Diane says softly. But maybe you should. That night, you find yourself driving the familiar road to your childhood home, the one you swore you'd never take again. The house looks smaller now, shrunken by time and by truth. You stand on the porch, your hand hovering over the doorknob. Inside, you can hear a faint song playing her old vinyl, Moon River. You knock once, twice, then the door opens. And there she is. Not the woman who once filled every room with her sharp tongue and perfect posture. This version looks older, softer. The lines on her face are no longer battle scars of control, but quiet reminders of time's humility. "Charlene," she says, her voice trembling. "You came." You nod once. "I did." She gestures to the couch. "Can we talk?" You sit careful, guarded. The air feels different now. Not heavy, not yet light, just fragile. "I've been seeing a counselor," she begins. "He said I should stop pretending, that I need to own what I did." You stay silent. "I was cruel to you," she continues. "I thought I was making you strong, but I was just breaking you because I didn't know how to build myself." Oh, you feel a sting behind your eyes. You didn't come here for apologies, you came to prove to yourself you could survive one. But hearing those words, it still hits something buried deep. "I was jealous," she admits. "You had courage, I never did. You built something without needing anyone's permission. And every time I saw that, it reminded me of everything I lost." Your breath catches. That was the confession you'd waited for your whole life. The real reason. Not hate, not shame, envy. "You were supposed to need me," she whispers. "And when you didn't, I punished you for it." You close your eyes. The words feel like stones dropping into still water. "Do you really mean that?" you ask quietly. "I do," she says. "I don't expect forgiveness. But I wanted you to know I see it now, everything I did, everything I took." You stare at her for a long moment. Then you say, "You didn't take everything." Her eyes widen. "You took my childhood, my peace, but you didn't take my will. You couldn't. That's what saved me." Tears slide down her face. "I don't deserve your kindness." You shake your head. "You don't. But I'm giving it anyway." She looks up sharply. "Why?" "Because hating you kept me chained to you. I can't keep living in the ruins of what you did. I have a life now, a good one, and I don't want to carry your shadow into it." "Oh." She covers her mouth, sobbing quietly. Not the manipulative kind of tears you grew up seeing, but the kind that sound like truth. When she finally looks up again, she says, "I'm proud of you." And this time, you believe her. Not because you need it, but because it costs her everything to say it. You stand, take your coat, and she looks up, panicked. "You're leaving?" You nod. "I already stayed long enough to hear what I needed." She reaches for your hand. "Will I see you again?" You pause, meeting her eyes. "Maybe. But even if you don't, I want you to know something. I'm not angry anymore." Her lips tremble. "Then what are you?" You smile softly. "Free." Outside, the winter air bites, but it's cleaner than it's ever been. You walk down the same driveway where she once told you, "You'll never make it." Now, every step feels like proof that you did. The bakery, your home, your life, they all exist because you stopped waiting for her permission. Later that night, Ethan finds you sitting on the couch, staring out the window. "You saw her," he says. You nod. "How'd it go?" You take a deep breath. "She apologized." He smiles faintly. "And?" You exhale slowly. "And I forgave her." He studies your face. "Do you feel lighter?" You smile, tears glistening. "No. I feel whole." "Oh." He pulls you close. "Then that's it. That's your real revenge." You laugh softly. Not revenge, redemption. The next morning, sunlight floods the bakery like a benediction. Customers fill the line, kids giggle at the counter, the smell of cinnamon fills the air. You slip your mother's letter, the last one, into a small box labeled, "Things I Survived." Then you tape another note beside it, "Things I Built." It's heavier, fuller, brighter. You turn the sign to open, and as the doorbell chimes, you whisper to yourself, "The past doesn't own me anymore. I do." It's been 6 months since that last conversation. The air smells like spring, like thawed earth, sugar, and second chances. The city feels alive again, and so do you. The past isn't gone, but it's quiet now, like a storm that's finally spent itself. You don't wake up afraid anymore. You don't rehearse apologies in your head. You simply live. Every morning, when you unlock the door of Rising Sun Bakery, you whisper the same small prayer to yourself. "Let me create something warm today, not just for others, but for me." And you do. The bakery has become a small legend in Milwaukee. Tourists take pictures under the sign. Locals call it their comfort stop. The smell of cinnamon rolls drifts down the street before sunrise. You've even started hosting weekend workshops baking for healing. Women who've been through heartbreak, silence, and loss come together to knead dough, share stories, and learn to rise again literally and emotionally. You tell them, "Don't be afraid to collapse. Bread does too sometimes. It still rises again." They laugh, but some cry, and you see it, that familiar flicker of recognition, pain turned into purpose. That's when you realize you've done more than heal yourself. You've built a space where others can begin theirs. One Saturday, a young woman named Lila lingers after class. She's quiet, eyes rimmed red, her apron dusted with flour. "I saw your article," she says softly. "About your mom, about rebuilding." You nod gently. "That was a hard one to write. I haven't spoken to mine in 3 years," she admits. "Sometimes I think I'll never forgive her. Then I feel guilty for even wanting to." You take a slow breath, remembering your own reflection once, that trembling woman who flinched at kindness. "Forgiveness doesn't mean you let them back in," you tell her. "It means you stop letting them live rent-free in your head." Lila wipes her eyes. "So, it's not for them?" You smile. "It's never for them." After she leaves, you close the bakery early and walk along the lake. The sky stretches wide, streaked with pink and amber. You think about all the women who come through your doors, each carrying invisible weights, each kneading their pain into dough. You realize that this, right here, is the legacy your mother never understood. She wanted perfection. You built compassion. She wanted control. You created connection. And maybe that's how cycles truly end, not with vengeance, but with transformation. That night, you and Ethan sit on the balcony of your apartment, watching the city lights flicker like stars. He's holding a manila envelope, his eyes glowing with mischief. "What's that?" you ask. He grins. "A surprise." You narrow your eyes. "The last time you said that, I ended up on a magazine cover. This time smaller," he promises. He slides the envelope toward you. Inside is a set of architectural sketches, a second bakery. Larger, brighter, with a name that makes your chest tighten. Rising Sun, Chicago. You look at him, stunned. "You're serious?" He nods. "Completely. You said you wanted to teach more, reach more. Let's build a foundation. A place that helps women start again, not just bake, but rebuild their lives." Your throat closes. "Ethan." He takes your hand. "You turned pain into art, then into hope. Don't stop now. Let's make it bigger." Tears spill down your cheeks. But this time, they don't burn. They cleanse. "Okay," you whisper. "Let's rise again." The grand opening comes 6 months later. Cameras flash, reporters crowd, and the air buzzes with excitement. Diane's there too, smiling, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. And then, just as the ribbon is about to be cut, you see her, your mother, standing quietly at the edge of the crowd. Her hair's grayer now, her shoulders smaller, her hands trembling slightly. But her eyes, those once sharp eyes, are soft, human. You meet her gaze. She doesn't wave, doesn't approach. She just nods once and mouths the words you never thought you'd see from her lips. "I'm proud." You don't cry this time. You just smile wide and steady, because you don't need her validation anymore. But it's beautiful to receive it without pain. You raise the scissors, cut the ribbon, and the crowd erupts. Cameras flash, laughter fills the street, and for the first time in your life, celebration doesn't feel like survival. It feels like living. That night, as the new bakery fills with warmth and chatter, you step outside alone for a moment. The city hums around you, alive and infinite. You whisper to the sky, "Thank you for breaking me so I could rebuild stronger." Oh, then you add, softer, "And thank you, Mom, for teaching me what not to be so I could become everything I am." Later, back inside, a little girl tugs at your apron. "Miss Charlene, why do you call it Rising Sun?" You kneel down and smile. "Because no matter how dark it gets, the sun always comes back." She beams. "Even after a storm?" "Especially after a storm." She giggles and runs back to her mother, who waves gratefully at you, another face you've helped, another story you'll never fully know, and you realize something quietly miraculous. The pain that once defined you has become a bridge for others. You didn't just survive your story. You rewrote it and turned it into a lantern for those still lost in theirs. The sign above the door glows golden as the night deepens. Rising Sun Bakery. But to you, it means something bigger now. Not just bread, not just healing. It means rebirth. You take Ethan's hand as he locks the doors. "We did it," you whisper. He smiles. "No, you did." And when you step into the night together, you don't look back. Because everything that once broke you now lights your way forward.